first step in the air brake test is to secure the vehicle. We're going to make sure that the vehicle is in gear. The parking brakes are applied. Now we're going to slide the chocks over so we can reach them from the ground. I'm taking out the key and put it in my pocket. I'm going to use 3 points of contact when you exit the vehicle. Make sure you shut the door. Chock the wheels. Now we're going to do our air brake test. We're going to start the engine, make sure it's in neutral, and we're going to release the parking brakes. You have to be very careful not to step on the service brake while the parking brakes are applied. Now we're going to bring our air pressure up to 120 so we can start our test. Bring it up to 1500 RPM. The tanks are now full at 120. I'm going to fan my brakes down so the needles get just below 100 psi. Now I'm going to bring it up to 1500 RPM. When the needles start to rise, the cut-in works. When the needles aren't rising, the cut-in works. It should cut out around 120 psi. Needles stop at 120, the cutout works. Apply the brakes, shut off the engine, put the key in the on position. Okay, now we're going to do the air loss test. I'm going to release the parking brakes. After an initial loss of 5 to 15 pounds, I can't lose more than 3 pounds in a minute. When it stops hissing, we'll start timing. My initial loss was 9 pounds. Timing now. We'll wait a full minute or until the examiner tells you to move on. We'll say a minute went by, we do not lose any air. The next test will be to step on the service brake with 90 pounds of pressure. After an initial loss of 5 to 15 pounds, we can't lose more than 4 pounds in a minute. Hold the pedal. My initial loss was 9 pounds. And timing now. Now we'll wait a full minute until the examiner tells you to move on. We'll say a minute went by, tell the trooper we did not lose any air. The next test is the low air warning alarm. We're going to fan the brakes down. The low air warning alarm has to come on before either one of the air needles drops below 60 psi. And the low air warning alarm came on above 60 psi. We're going to fan down between 40 and 20 and make sure that the spring brakes apply. You want to watch both buttons as you're fanning down. And both buttons pop so the spring brakes worked. Now we're going to start the engine. We're going to bring our RPMs up to 1500 RPM. We're going to tell the examiner that the first thing we're going to check is to make sure that the low air warning alarm goes off, but not until both needles get above 60 psi. After that, we're going to time it from 85 to 100 psi. It has to take less than 45 seconds. All right, the alarm went off, both needles are above 60 psi. 45 in time. We're at 100 psi. It took 20 seconds. Now we're going to refill our tanks all the way to 120, maintaining 1500 RPM. Tanks are full. Now we're going to get out and get the chocks. First we're going to secure the vehicle. I'm going to put it in first gear, shut off the engine, put the key in my pocket. We're not hooked up, right? 3 points of contact getting out of the truck. Make sure you shut the door. Put the chocks on the floor and push them in. Climb in empty-handed. Use 3 points of contact getting back in the truck. Now we're going to start the vehicle and do our brake test. Okay, the first test we're going to do is to check the trailer parking brakes. So to do that, we're going to release the tractor parking brakes. We're going to put the truck in first gear and just bring it up enough to give it a little tug. Just bring the clutch up enough just to give it a tug to ensure that the brakes are working. The brakes are working and the fifth wheel connection is good. Now we're going to test the tractor parking brake. So we're going to pull our tractor parking brake out and release the trailer brake. Now this is the only brake that's on. Back in first gear, give it a tug. The tractor parking brakes are good. Now we're going to fill our air back up because we used air doing those brake tests. We're going to bring it up to 1500 RPM. Tanks are full. Now we're going to test our trolley brake. Put it in gear, release the parking brake. We're going to roll forward, test the trolley brake. Trolley brake is good. Now we're going to test our service brakes. Release the trolley brake, pull forward. Service brakes are good. Parking brakes, which you put on the floor so you don't compound the brakes, and you're going to tell the trooper what happened when you stepped in the service brake. There was no unusual feel to the pedal. There was no delay in stopping. The wheel didn't pull to the left or right. There was no shatter in the wheel. There was no unusual sound and smells. That concludes the air brake test.